I'm here with Joe Cloud of T&E Meats. Hi, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Hello.
So I wondered if you could share how you got into the meat processing business. What's the story?
Well, it may have not have been totally thought through, but the short answer I give people is, well, I bought a meat plant. So I actually relocated back to this part of Virginia from the West Coast. It was partly needing to take care of aging parents, and it was a lifestyle change, I suppose, having spent 20 years in a different profession, completely different from the meat business. But I've always been very interested in agriculture and food and things of that nature. And I have a part owner, Joel Salatin. Some people will recognize the name of Polyface Farms. And he had actually, he lives nearby, and I had met him previous, probably a year or so earlier, and had actually talked him into leasing our farm. So my parents owned a large farm in the next county over, not too far from Joel's place, and we became a good part of his beef production center. So at any rate, he and I were talking about this, that, and the other thing, and one thing led to another, and he brought me up here to look at the plant, because the family that owned it, they went up for sale. They weren't going to be able to keep on doing it, as the owner was just getting too elderly to keep it up. And it was actually being run a little bit differently. It was more around wholesale and retail of meats, and they weren't really doing all that much slaughter and processing and packing. But we felt that there was a real need for that. This was in 2007, I think I first came up here. We finalized in 2008, and but we've been doing it ever since. So it's been almost 12 years now.
Wow, 12 years. And you recently completed an expansion. What kind of square footage did you start at, and where are you at now?
So this building, the total building square footage is about 10,000 square feet, but it's an old plant that was built in 1939, and it was added onto, and there was a lot of space under that roof that was not really finished out. Was just truck garages for the trucks and dry storage and so forth. And there was an old retail store, and the layout of the spaces that they had been built on over time, so they weren't super efficient. We were probably using about 6,500 square feet for processing, and I guess basically we finished out about additional 2,500 square feet, and then did some other things with that other 6,500 feet to make the flow of everything work a lot better, and to move the processing space, one of the cutting rooms, down elsewhere, move the carcass cooler space differently, so we were able to make a better workflow and set aside some space for a smokehouse, so we could begin doing value-added products while eliminating some of the cross-contamination issues and potentials. So.
And how many farmers are you serving now?
Oh, yeah, that's hard to say exactly. At any given year, we probably have about 300 accounts, but a lot of those are related to what we call the onesies and the twosies, and they don't actually accurately reflect the amount of farmers, because some of those are actually the farmers' customers, and I just do a quick count in QuickBooks and kind of get how many different invoice addresses we have. But yeah, it's somewhere up above 200 for sure. And of those, there's the locker stuff, and then there's the serious folks that are regularly coming and getting product under inspection, and the bulk of our receipts are probably, the there's probably 20, or like anything, it's the 80-20 rule.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably 20 farms, 30 farms that produce the bulk of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
We probably work with maybe 80 farms with product under inspection, and the rest of it's probably a lot of locker beef and locker pork for the most part.
And how many